Did you know if you're a farmer, you can get your low tunnels paid for by the NRCS? Through a recently launched government program, farmers can get between $4 and $5 per square foot in reimbursement towards a Quick Hoops low tunnel system. That's free money to help increase production on your farm. Learn more about Quick Hoops and the NRCS program at shop.moderngrower.co or using the link below.
To share it with the world. Let's get it out there. Let's change farming forever with silicon.
I mean, I'm always looking for the magic bullet. And I'm not saying this is the magic bullet, but it's something we've been missing. And work with Dr. Wendy Zellner out of Toledo and Greg Downing out of Indiana, who's one of the silicon reps that I use for silicon. But silicon, we've always thought of it in the past as being a coat of armor, and which kept the plants from getting diseases. And that's true. That's true. But we're finding out now it does much more than that. It does a lot more with the physical or the chemistry inside the plant. It'll actually, if you're short on silicon, the roots, you really need to talk to Wendy Zellner. She's so much more eloquent than I am. But they form these membranes that stop water from leaking back out of the plant under dry conditions. So it will help the plant with drought stress. We've seen spraying silicon on fruits work with a big blueberry grower up there north of Maine. Nova Scotia, someplace up there. And he put silicon on his blueberries, and his storability is increased dramatically. We did some work with some silicon down in Texas, where they get these, it's hot down there, they get these quick rains and the tomatoes will crack. And so we're using silicon there to virtually stop that cracking. It also, I've seen some work from Hank Martin that says we can, and I do this currently. Last year, I probably put over, I don't know, or at least over 1,000 acres that we experimented with of cutting the fungicides in half and bumping the silicons up to 33, 34 parts per million in that application, and doing just as good as if we, in fact, cutting that fungicide in half paid for the silicon that we use. And the plants, we have tar spot up here. They'll get tar spot, but they don't seem to just go downhill. It helps the plant tolerate those diseases. Even read some information where having high silicon levels in the tissue, you take chewing insects, it wears the mandibles on the chewing insects' jaws, and they don't reproduce as fast, and so the insect pressure is reduced. I sprayed up till, for the garden, I had potatoes in there every year. I'm fighting Colorado potato beetles. This year I started early, spraying them with silicon. I never had a Colorado potato beetle. So, is that because we put the silicon on? I don't know, but I sure didn't have to worry about it. But, spraying the apples, much better shelf life. And I got tomatoes. We took tomatoes off of some early girls that we planted. Oh gosh, I'll bet it was at least 1st of August, maybe a little before that. And I had to cover them 2 or 3 times for frost there in October. And finally, I don't know, probably late October, I was getting tired of covering them, and it was getting too cold to try to cover them. So we pulled off tomatoes. We had tomatoes December 31st. I had the last fresh tomato that we had sitting out on the shelf. We used. So it was, we've seen some really interesting things with silicon, and I'll bet it'll take the universities at least 10, maybe 15 years to come around. But I'm giving you a head start here. So
absolutely. So you're saying we're potentially helping fight against fungal disease and chewing insects, correct?
And water utilization, more efficient on water utilization. So yeah, this is something that you've got to definitely take a look at.
Now, do you know if the sources of silicon that are readily available, do you know if those are compliant with organic standards?
The one that I use is compliant with organic standards. I don't know, on your recommendation sheet, did I give you a
Cropsil
crop sill and where to get that?
from Hardy Grow?
You can't get it there anymore. You get it from Greg Downing.
Okay.
But I can get that phone number for you when we get done here. But I'm so convinced I've already prepaid for almost $30,000 worth of crop sill this year. But it's a nice product. It's actually made from rice hulls.
Okay.
And so if you got really low silicon level soils, using rice hulls is a great way to get silicon. Things like for farmers that are growing wheat probably has about 50,000-60,000 ppm of silicon in it. And that's right up there with nitrogen and potassium. So it's a high consumer of silicon. But taking your wheat off and your straw off, you get to start seeing how much you're removing from the soil. Well, we've even found that even a low utilizer of silicon, like tomatoes, which is only, I think, 4,000 or 5,000 ppm, if I remember right, but we're seeing response there. Stopping the cracking. I had some tomatoes being under constant application of silicon. I think we did 3 or 4 applications this year. The field man comes into my client and he said, well, I got to look at that one variety. He says the diseases are all over the other farms that are raising that. I want to take a look at yours. He comes back and says, yeah, you got it, but it's nothing like we've got it at some of these other farms. And then our tomato grade was 10, 15 points better than everybody else around that wasn't using. So yeah, it
sounds like it may be that magic bullet then.
It certainly has. It's made it fun for me. Yeah. Everybody keeps asking me, when are you going to retire? And I said, when they drag me out of the field. Yeah. These type of things are exciting. And that stuff does mix well. There are silicon products out there that you leave them in the sprayer too long and you won't be saying nice things about gotcha. Silicon. But potassium silicate is a good source, but it's not a monosilicic acid. That's what you want. You want a monosilicic acid. Some of these others are silicic acids, but they got a potassium attached to them, so they got to break that off. And so it goes through a little more complex, but it's still good silicon source, potassium silicate. Some of the people say, well, I use diatomaceous earth. That's great for slugs and what have you, and cabbage lopers and stuff, but it's way too low solubility to give you any effect from silicon on the plant. So,
hello, growers. Looking to turn your homestead into a profitable business? Or are you a farmer looking to boost your sales? Check out my book, Sell Everything You Grow. This book is the ultimate guide to choosing the right farm business model that fits your farm, time, and location. Discover which model has the highest profit margins and why diversification is so important. Whether you're selling apples, vegetables, or microgreens, Sell Everything You Grow will help you find your first market or expand into new ones. Get Sell Everything You Grow on Amazon and start selling more today.